Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Last week we unboxed the miniature Susano's Itachi and Madara statues, and this week we got the big boy, the Top Studio Itachi. Here's a closer look at the amazing artwork on the box alone. We have Itachi, and it's weird that he has his skeletal Susanoo here since this is a full Susanoo statue, but still looks cool. I'm not complaining. Here's the other side. This kind of reminds me of those displate artworks, but it looks pretty cool. And then on the opposite side, we just have his crow with the Mangekyo Sharingan, looking pretty cool. And then on the back, it's just the Sharingan eye and his name. So let's get inside of the box and we can see the packaging here. I did buy this one used on Facebook, but the seller did an amazing job repackaging everything. It looks as if I bought this one new from the studio, so thanks a lot to that seller. I did ask him to follow me on YouTube so he could see this unboxing, so hopefully you're looking. Thanks, man, you did an amazing job and you gave me a great deal. But here's the bottom of the base. We got the Mangekyo Sharingan and I have number 354 out of 388. Here's a closer look at the base. Nothing like the Kakashi that I got from Kondo. I think that's his name. I forgot his name already, but who cares, because the Top Studio Kakashi that I got from him came super dirty. I'll leave a link up here so you guys can take a look at that. But this one, again, just looks as if I got it brand new from the studio. Super clean, and I'm super happy with this purchase because I kind of got it for retail price because I just recently got Madara, which I have an unboxing from him soon, and I paid about the same for that Madara as I did for this Itachi. But I'm getting a bit sidetracked here. Let's get back to the statue. Look at these flames, these beautiful colors. The first ones that I showed were kind of darker. I think they're kind of representing the Amaterasu flames, whereas these just look like actual fire. So I love the different contrast of the flames that they give us in this statue. Here's another piece with that same orange reddish look on it. And again, these are labeled just to make assembly a little bit easier. And I noticed that there's some notches here with magnets. Later, I do find out that that was to attach the crows, which I had a super hard time figuring out where those go, but we'll get to that later. So here I am assembling it, super easy. You just match the code on the piece with the code on the base. This one, however, I was having a hard time because I couldn't find a letter to match it. And that is because this piece here sort of has like a building block approach to it where one piece attaches to another. So that was pretty cool on this one. It didn't have this with Kakashi, so that's why I kind of had a hard time figuring out where that goes. But once I figured it out, I actually liked it. It went in super cool and I like the way that it looks. So really cool engineering on this statue. And then this one here was pretty easy to figure out where it goes because it was the only long piece like that. So that's it for the flames. Now let's move on to the Susanoo. And even though I've already seen something like this with the Top Studio Kakashi, this still amazed me. And the texturing on the pants was the exact same. It's almost exactly the same Susanoo, just a different pose. And I'm fine with that because they all look amazing. On the back, the wings were positioned weird. I wasn't sure how this was going to work, but once you attach the wings, it all just fits in perfectly. Just weird positioning, but everything was perfect. Although I will say there was a little bit of wiggle on one of the wings, and same thing here with this arm. It's not attached magnetically. It actually uses a steel rod, which we'll get to in a bit, but yeah, just some wiggle on some of the pieces there. But moving on, we're gonna get into the Susanoo's face, which I had never paid attention to the face. It actually looks really cool. This one's a lot different than the Kakashi Susanoo because he has sort of like a mask. And here I'm pointing at the hair because the seller told me that there was a chip on the hair, but I didn't notice anything. To me, it looked fine. There was just some scratches on that top tip, but it doesn't bother me. You really can't notice it. So again, I just love this and I think I got a great deal on it. But here is my favorite part of the statue. The same thing with Kakashi. I just love the way these wings look. You see all those squares. They add so much detail to these wings. And then the color on top of that just looks amazing. And then especially with the clear resin. This is probably the most clear out of the whole statue. It's just almost see-through and I love it. So now let's go ahead and attach these wings to the body. So this right hand wing was the one that was wiggling. You guys can see it a little bit there. Once I install it, I moved it around a bit and then it's not completely secure on there, but I just left it alone. If you just leave it alone, everything will be fine. But here are the two hands. One is magnetized while the other one has a steel rod, as I mentioned before. So the magnet one I think is perfect, but here the steel rod one, again, similar to that back wing, there is a little bit of wiggle. This one I'm a bit more worried about, which I'll explain here in a bit. But first, let's take some time to appreciate this massive sword. It's just the one of the biggest things on this statue. You will see it here in a bit once we install Itachi. It's just hovering right over him. It's bigger than Itachi, and I love the heck out of it. I'm so glad that I got this, and this sword definitely cemented this as my favorite statue in my collection right now. But the thing that worried me, I don't know if you guys saw when I installed the sword, the hand turned a little bit. So I'm just worried that maybe with the weight over time, the hand might slip out. I hope not, but that's just a worry that I have. I might put some blue tack or something there in the future. But moving on, we installed some of the shoulder pads, and now we're just moving into some of the other effects on the statue. Again, they included those same weird effects that they did in Kakashi. I still don't know if they're supposed to be wind effects or bubbling effects or what they're supposed to be, but to me, they look like bubbles of some sort. So one of the things that I'm not too fond of in these statues, but once you have it all assembled, it looks fine. It's just, I don't know why, they just bother me a little bit. And then this rock right here, I don't know why they decided to sculpt this separately. Didn't need to be sculpted separately. They could have just added this to the base to begin with, but for some reason it's sculpted separately. So here it just goes inserted in there and everything just fits in perfectly. Sorry if I sound like I'm nitpicking here, but it's just, there's not really many negatives to this statue. I love it, so I just want to share you guys all of my thoughts on these effects. Some of them do wiggle a little bit. I noticed that the pieces that don't use magnetic effects are the ones that wiggle more. All right, and to finish the statue off, we're moving on to Itachi. And I mainly get these statues for the Susanoo, but I honestly was really impressed with this Itachi's body sculpt. On the video, I don't know, it doesn't look as impressive when I look at it on video, but in person, this thing just felt really nice. It does have some seam lines here, but those don't really bother me, to be honest. But just the weight and the way it looks, I really do love it. Although I will say that so far, Cloud Studio Zetsu has had the best body sculpt from my Akatsuki members. But Itachi is probably second. It just looks awesome. I also love the way that his cloak flows. It almost looks like he's doing his whole disappearing act with his crows. I think that's what they were going for, because some of the crows do attach on his cloak. But he just goes attached like this, just pegs, not even a steel rod, but it does feel secure, so I'm not worried about him tipping over or anything. So his hands and his face were sculpted separately. Let's first take a look at his hands. One thing I do love about the hands is that they included the ring, and it's actually painted pretty well. You can tell that it's Itachi's mark, and I love the fact that his nails are painted purple as well, just to complete his whole emo look, which I'm not complaining. I still think he looks pretty cool. Now let's go ahead and move on to his face. Now the face, I did have some small issues with. I mean, his face looked fine. I love the eyes. You can see his Mangekyo Sharingan perfectly, which I love. But my main issue is just with the hair, which I've noticed a lot of studios have problems with, even licensed studios. It just looks a little bit cheap. I would have liked to see just some like individual strands of hair waving around on the back or something like that, but that's really the main issue. Otherwise, I mean, once you attach him on the body, it really doesn't bother me. And like I said, I don't really get these for the characters. I mainly get these for the Susanoos, and the Susanoo looks awesome, and Itachi is just sort of like a cherry on top. But here's one of his crows. These are the guys that gave me a bunch of trouble. Here's all of them. There's 6 in total. Unfortunately, I couldn't attach all of them because I couldn't figure out where they all go. The most I could figure out was 4, and even then it took me a long time. I'm gonna speed through this so you guys can see just how long it took me to figure all of this out. I think this footage lasted around 20 minutes, but I sped it up and it just lasts maybe 1 minute or so. But yeah, I kept going back and forth, switching out crows, moving them around. Once I figured out one of them, I was wrong and I had to move it to the other side, so you guys will see that here in a bit. But yeah, in the end, I was happy with the way that I placed them, and I'm not mad about not being able to place all 6. I still think it looks awesome just with 4 of them on here. I mean, I'll still try to figure it out. Once I figure out where the other 2 goes, I'll definitely be attaching them. I might need to watch somebody else's unboxing or something, but I'll just let the footage play so you guys can see me struggling here as I try to figure out where all these crows go. All right, and that does it. Itachi is now fully assembled and it looks amazing. I'm super happy with this purchase, and I got super lucky finding that person on Facebook who was selling it. If I was just 1 or 2 minutes late, I'm pretty sure someone would have grabbed this up from under me, and thankfully they didn't. But that's how these things work with Facebook groups. You guys should definitely join if you're interested in picking up sort of like rare statues like this one. Some of the groups that I'm in is anime statues. This Favor GK and FNC buy and sell groups. Those are just one of the ones that I can remember off the top of my head, but those are all great for finding statues like these that are no longer being made. But we're not quite done with the video yet though. We have to add some LEDs. You guys know that for my Susanoos especially, and any of my clear resin statues, I always try to add custom LEDs, and these are the ones that I use. I found these on Amazon. They're really user-friendly. You can either use this remote, or there's also an app, which we will be going over here in a bit. Here are the LEDs, and I'll show some footage as to how I installed these. It's honestly really easy. All I use now is just standard Scotch tape. I used to use the fancy double-sided tape that worked a little bit better, but during the last Susanoo with Kakashi, I found that Scotch tape works just fine. As you guys will see here, everything sticks, so I had no issue. So this is what I use now, and what I will probably be used moving forward, because Scotch tape is just a lot cheaper. And don't worry, I know it looks really messy, but when you're displaying this from the front view, as you guys can see here, you don't even notice the tape. But here it is with the lights on and with the lights off. Amazing, I love it. Here's the app that I use. So right now I have Itachi, Kakashi, and Yamamoto on these LEDs. If you go down to functions, you will get a bunch of different options that you can use for your effect of the LEDs. I like to use the red gradual change just because I like that sort of pulsating light effect. I think it works really well with these Susanoos, especially with Yamamoto, because it kind of looks like the flame is propagating, but it works well with Susanoos as well. And then the last thing that they actually included in this one, because I didn't remember seeing this in my Kondo Kakashi unboxing, but they do have a little plaque here, and it's a metal plaque. It just has Itachi there on the front, tells you the edition size. However, since I didn't get one of these with Kakashi, I probably won't display any of these with one of my other Top Studio statues. But yeah, with that, we're done with this unboxing and review of Itachi from Top Studio. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. We're now going to go into a figure showcase. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.